All right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for those technical issues, but I think we've got them all sorted out. James, you
Yeah,
can hear me, right?
yes.
All right, sweet. So if you don't know, my name is Doug Gooden. This is my amazing guest, Mr. James Wilson. James,
Okay.
the floor is yours. Why don't you tell the folks who you are, what you do, all that jazz? Yeah.
All right, yeah. My name is James Wilson. Me and Doug met through WinShape summer camp for communities. And I'm a photographer. I'm not currently in school. I'm 21. When I was in school, I was majoring in elementary education. I definitely want to do something to help the kids in my community, but Rona and all that, I just took a break. So during that break, I've worked on perfecting my craft, which is photography. And I've also worked on starting a brand called Ubel, and that just means you're beautiful in Haitian Creole. And I've just been working to do a lot. I also love to cook. I randomly do these sales for Oreo balls. Some people call them Oreo truffles. That's just for fun. People love them. Uh, and yeah, I'm a Christian, love the Lord, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's me.
Yeah, James is just an awesome guy all around. And yeah, well, without further ado, let's jump right into it, okay?
All
All
right.
right. All right, so James, first question right out the gate. What is a television show that you watched as a kid that you think still holds up?
Okay, so I like Fairly Odd Parents, but if I had because we talked about it, but one that still holds up like a really good one that was like I had connection to the characters and all that would be Teen Titans. And not
Hmm.
that new one with the little cartoon kids, but like
Yeah, yeah,
that old one where they're like human size going through stuff. It was
yeah,
just
man.
so good. It was
Yeah.
cinematic almost. Like,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I completely agree. Teen Titans 100% holds up. Quality stuff all around. So yeah, great first question to get us started off with. So James, you said one of the things that you do, and you do it really well, is you are an awesome cook. I say that having never actually tasted your food, but just from looking at it on Instagram. Good Lord, that looks delicious. So,
yeah,
uh,
man.
so James, for the folks out there, what would you say is the biggest mistake that people make when they start learning how to cook?
Oh, I think the biggest mistake would be um probably just like not having the confidence in what you're doing. A lot of people are scared to cook because they taste like restaurant food and they taste, just other people and they see other people's food and it looks delicious, but like comparing your food to somebody else's is really going to like just kill your whole drive.
Yeah,
Like when I started learning how to cook, I would watch the Food Network channel all the time. And I'd be like, this is pretty. And I do the recipe exactly how they did it, and it would just be nasty. So I was
yeah,
like, you know what? I feel like I should add this to it. I feel like I should do it this way. You know, culinary is an art. So putting yourself in it is probably going to be the best thing. But you can't compare it to other people's stuff. If you
yeah,
are going to compare it, you just got to try to make it better. That's the only thing I say. But
yeah.
yeah.
I got you, and kind of going off of that. Being someone who grew up and still lives in Louisiana. Is there a real secret to great Cajun cooking that most people uh, or for the uninitiated that they just always forget or they just don't know is so important when making really good Cajun food?
The secret to Cajun food is the seasoning.
Mm,
And here's what I mean by that. You
yeah,
gotta, and when you're seasoning, I'll use chicken for example. Say you got a chicken breast, right?
yeah,
You can put your salt, your pepper, and your garlic powder. But if you want it to taste any type of Cajun, it can't still be pink when you're done seasoning. All
yeah,
right? It has to be red. It has to be so seasoned that it hurts to be around it when you smell the air. All right? You gotta, there's a thing called Tony Sashery. Do you know what that is?
Oh, I'm well acquainted with Tony. Tony and I
Well,
are pretty good friends.
if you can get a can from Tony, you know, just just hold up. Look, this is Tony, man. This is Tony. Creole seasoning. You open this and you just go until like the seasoning guys tell you to stop. There is no limit. You know?
There is some magic in Tony's. Um, there's a lot of magic in that little green can.
Yeah, man, ain't nothing like it. You can get seasoned all, but I mean, it ain't gonna be exactly the same.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
You know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
yeah, man. All right, so kind of hopping off of that, like we said, you're a guy who juggles a bunch of different things, really well. Actually, my hat goes off to you, uh, on that. But one project that you've kind of picked up and you do it every now and then that really intrigues me is this thing called James's Pop-Up Podcast. Uh, so so I would just like to know, first of all, could you tell folks what James's Pop-Up Podcast is, and then also what was the idea behind that?
All right, so James's pop-up podcast is basically me popping up around random people. Usually, it was my family when we was in quarantine, and I would just put my phone out and be like, "Welcome back to James's pop-up podcast," and they'd be like, "Oh, we doing this?" And I'd be like, "Yes, we are. Yes, we are doing this." And it started off as a joke. I'm not gonna lie. Like I live in Lafayette, Baton Rouge is like an hour out from Lafayette. And that's where my brothers lived, and that's where I used to stay when I was going to LSU. So I was like, quarantine? Yeah, I don't need to be in Lafayette, so I'm going back. So when I walked in, I was like, hey guys, what's up? And something just popped up in my head. I'm gonna record our conversation as a joke. So I was like, welcome back. And it was the first one. So like welcome back. Like nobody know what I'm saying? And it was just funny. Like I posted it and people was like, hey, do another one. I'm like, are you serious? So I did. It was kind of like a quarantine entertainment thing. And I got people still asking me when I'm gonna do another one, but I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I'm kind of by myself and busy. Like I might do another one. I might.
Yeah,
Gotta
yeah.
be on the
I was getting ready for tonight, and that's something that you've every time you post one of those, I honestly get kind of excited because I really do love podcasts as well. But just the spontaneity of it, I just love that idea. And I was looking at, I was like, I wonder when the last time he posted one was, and it's been a little bit, but
it's been a minute. Like it's extremely spontaneous.
yeah.
Like, it was never planned.
Yeah. Well, kind of going off of that spontaneity, one of the questions that we got is what really are the benefits of doing these spontaneous, sort of like spur of the moment projects versus the ones that you plan out for weeks in advance? Because I know another thing that you really like to do are these spontaneous photo shoots. Yeah. So what are the real advantages of doing something like that that's really instantaneous, spur of the moment? Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like one of the things we talked about on the podcast was like our Enneagram numbers. I don't know if you know about that, but I'm a 7. And one of the things about 7s is like we're very spontaneous. So I was like, okay, y'all got me there. It's cool. But for me, planning just gives me like stress and anxiety. It's kind
Hey,
of like a
man.
I mean, in some situations I should do it, but every time I do, I get disappointed because it's like it didn't turn out how I was. It's like I'll plan a date with one of my friends and I'll be like, hey, let's go out and eat Friday. And then dude will be like, I'm sorry, but I gotta cancel on Thursday. I'm like, well, what else could I did on Friday? What else could I have done? You know? It's
Yeah.
like now I gotta think of something else. And I just don't like that. So like with the photo shoot, it's like, hey, you trying to shoot today? And they're like, yes. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do today. That's what I'm gonna focus on today. If I feel like I have an idea, it's like I think I gotta act on this. It's like because if I just sit there and think about how can I do it, I feel like I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know. For some people, I know a lot of people don't work like that. I got a friend; she does not work like that. She plans stuff to the T. and that is how she gets stuff done. But me, nah, I can't.
I understand that. I think speaking of Enneagram numbers, I'm a number two, which really doesn't apply much to this situation. It's just like, I like to help other people get their stuff together and accomplished.
Mhm.
So I think part of that is, enjoying someone says go and you're like, all right, sweet, let's roll with it. But part of that is also I would like to know what I'm doing ahead of time. So yeah, I applaud you for that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
This is
Well,
different.
yeah, man. Well, we've kind of talked about it. You're a man who does so much. So, I mean, one of the questions that we got is, what really inspires you? What makes you like start one of these new projects, and what really helps you continue it? Because I know, like one person who tries to create stuff to another really great creator. Um, you know, a lot of these things that we do, we'll start them, it'll be fun for a little while, and then we'll stop.
Yeah.
But like, what was that for you?
So like for me, I kind of know what I want and I kind of know what I don't want. Like for example, like uh I'm gonna use the word passion. I'm not passionate about school, but I am passionate about helping children. So in my eyes, I'm like, what is the best way for me to help these kids? If it is school, then I'm gonna go 100% in school. Like I would have probably stayed in for quarantine. But I found so many different ways that I could be a help to them rather than like going straight into the public school system. I don't even like the public school system. So now my mind is focused on, okay, what can I do to like help somebody like after school or like I tutor. I tutor. Like I honestly, this online stuff, that's not how I learn. And that's
Yeah,
not how I'm gonna teach it. So my passion right now is helping those kids that also can't learn online. I can help you. So my main focus is going there. My photography, that all got started because I was interested in the camera. But then I grew an appreciation for God's creation. And it's like, I kind of want to capture everything. And it's like when I started shooting like actual human beings, like people, I saw this variety of them. Like their eyes are different, their mouth, their nose, their skin tone, their eyelashes, like small stuff that'll make us all different. And I'm like, that's beautiful. Like
yeah,
God really had to sit down and like make all these different variations.
yeah,
Like we can't even like pick up a pen and draw a person without like thinking of somebody else in our head first. And it's like with Ubel, I started that from people not realizing the beauty of their uniqueness. And it's like I got these drives behind me. So like if I'm starting something, it's not just gonna be uh like the podcast. Like I only kept that going because people was asking me. I wasn't passionate about it, so it stopped.
yeah,
So if you don't have any like, you know, deeper reason for doing something to actually keep you going, then you're not gonna keep going, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. I got you. I got you. That's awesome, man. So you kind of touched on this, but I would love to hear you go into a little more. So, what is it about working with kids that really just gets you going? Like, because I'm gonna level with you. I mean, we met doing a summer camp for kids, and it is incredible. I love working WinShape camps, but as far as like teaching goes, that's something that is completely out of my league. But
Teaching
yeah,
is definitely different. It's like with WinShape, you could have fun with the kids, right?
yeah,
With teaching, you can have fun with them to an extent because if they're having so much fun that they're not learning, then you're not doing your job. You're kind of being counterproductive. But the thing, and it is frustrating, teaching is not easy. But the thing that keeps me going is being able to see them struggle with something and me have the answers, or seeing them struggle and I'm like, I really don't know, and then we find it together because that's
hmm
growth. And it's like if we if we keep going, well, then you just made it out. Congratulations, you graduated. You know, you're a better person because of it. It's kind of like an aha moment. You know, I love seeing that in
Yeah.
kids, you know, and then they got other kids where they're smart, but like they may have problems going on at home or like emotionally that they don't know how to deal with. So like when they come in the center, the first thing I ask them, I'll be like, how was your day? And they'll be like, it was all right. Like today, I tutored from like 3 to 6. And this girl came in. I said, "How was your day?" She was like, "I don't know." I mean, I was like, "How do you not know how your day was? You just spent like 8 hours at school." Like, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 17. And she was like, 17. I'm like, yeah. She says 3 or 10, pick one. I said 10. She said a 3. And I was like, well, what happened? And then the kid across from the room was like, man, I get mine a 2. So now we're talking about it. And it's like we're growing connections. It's like now they're opening up. And apparently one had got shoved because he was playing football and he didn't like that. So he just his whole day on that. And she had got tackled because she was holding the soccer ball. So I was like, that's very ironic that y'all both had the same. So then they started talking. So now
Yeah.
we up in there just having like a nice conversation and we can go into our work with that stress off of us. And it's like, okay, you already growed emotional. Let's get to this work. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, man.
it's just they be needing it, man. They be
Yeah.
needing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. That's awesome, man. I love hearing that perspective on it. So we've kind of danced around we've discussed how I just want to get this one out there. And I really cannot stress this enough. For the people who don't know you, like when it comes to working with kids, you are legendary at it. Like and I've got to bring this back to, we met doing WinShape camps, and we got to see each other on our first week on the job, first week either of us had ever done that.
Yeah.
And people who are listening, y'all, this man showed up day one, like 150%. He was doing some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my entire life. Uh, you know, and he was in it, and they saw it and they connected with it. Like James, we got to teach the same skill, wacky science together. And when I say
Indeed.
like this man made it so easy to walk in there and not know what we were doing, because neither of us knew really what we were doing that first week.
Man, none of them experiments was really coming out. Like,
No, it
we got a
took.
little girl teaching us how to make slime.
Yeah, man. So yeah, like James, you were so good with kids. I cannot say it enough. But kind of going off of that line of WinShape, and I would just love to hear your thoughts on this. So I was talking with somebody last week, and I gotta say, like working for that camp really was like a spiritual high point for me in my life. Like, in my 21 years of life, like WinShape, I'm 22. I don't know why I said 21. In my 22 years of life, like uh, WinShape was one of the high points. And I am curious, what do you think was the biggest change that working for a camp like WinShape made in your life, like going forward?
Okay, so like one of the biggest things for me, it gave me the confidence to actually like grow more with kids. Cause I've been tutoring for about 4 years now.
Hmm.
And when I first started off, it was like, okay, you need help in math. That's what we're gonna do. And it wasn't really a lot of relationship building. So I was already trying to grow on that. And it wasn't a lot of like guidance either. Because I remember they told me like whatever your like religious standpoint is, it's like keep that out of school. And I wasn't really with that, but I never really knew how to even bring that in when I saw somebody needed like Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Without being like, have you prayed about it to, a sixth grader? So WinShape definitely showed me how to like break down the gospel in a way that doesn't sound like the gospel, and just like a
Yeah.
life lesson they could come back
Yeah.
to. It also exposed me because I'm African American, I'm black.
Hmm.
I was tutoring in Baton Rouge. That's like Lafayette is probably like 50-50 white and black. The part of I was tutoring in Baton Rouge, it was like no white children, totally different environment. So when I got to WinShape, it was like, okay, now I only have like two black people in my team time.
Yeah.
So I got to see how a different race interacted when came to learning. And that grew me a lot more because now I wasn't like single-minded, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I think it was like a spiritual high point in my life too, because it was like Jesus every day.
Yeah.
And even though we were hearing the same message for like, what was it, 10, 12 weeks, it
I
hit
think y'all
different.
did 10 weeks.
10 weeks, like it hit different every time.
Yeah.
Like I was just worshiping 2 days ago. Cause do you know who Maverick City Music is?
I have heard of them. I'm not very familiar with them, but
Yeah, well they dropped like a new album, and one of the songs was talking about like how seasons change and God doesn't, like his faithfulness remains. And I was like, no matter what, man, God is always I was like, man, still to this day. And
yeah,
it's like kids need to hear that, you
yeah,
know? So kudos to WinShape for doing their thing in that.
yeah. I mean, it's something all of us need to hear, man. I
Yeah.
tell you what. So kind of going off of that. I think a lot of people, especially like in the times we're living in, there's this whole debate on like what it means to really be a Christian, what it means to live out a life that is appealing to Christ, that is reflective of Christ. So I want to know, like, what would you say is the greatest responsibility for Christians that we all really do fail in doing on a day to day basis? I agree. I 100% agree.
I mean, it's like you look at Jesus, like we're Christians, we're followers of Christ. Everything he did was out of love. All he did was even the worst people, he loved them, and we all know this.
Yeah,
And man, honestly, I had to get convicted of that over quarantine because they had all of this like racial injustice going on. It's like politics are going crazy, and it's this side against the other, and then like some other groups just coming in and start messing. It's like, man, I really don't like this. Like I really had built up hate in my heart. And I would go on social media. I post like all kind of sarcastic stuff, like strictly targeting people. And I just got extremely convicted. It's like, James, like you're not being loving. You're kind of going back to how you were like pre-Christ. And I was like, man, I really don't want to love people right now. Like, and I'm over here like they don't deserve it. But who am I to say that? My job as a Christian is to show you the love of Christ and to I mean, yeah, to show you the love of Christ and lead you to him. I'm not
yeah,
leading you to him if I'm doing anything else other than that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I can put my opinion out there and like stand firm in what I believe in. But when I start saying hateful things and like going anywhere outside of that circle, then it's like, nah. It's like, nah. And yeah,
yeah. I really like the way you put. There are times when you don't want to love people. Like there are moments when I mean we're all human and we're all susceptible to the same vices and what have you. But I mean that is I feel like people I feel like I feel like there's a huge misconception where people hear that phrase, love your neighbor as yourself, uh, and they just take it as, well, I'll say that I love you and that's it. But I mean, it takes a lot to actually show
a
that.
lot more actually to show it. That's
Yeah,
the thing. Because you can say it, you could say it all day, and like when it push comes to shove, are you still gonna show me that you love me? Is that what we're gonna do? Like if the greatest act of love was like Jesus giving his life, we can
Mm,
honestly do anything less than that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like show me something.
yeah,
Show me
yeah.
something.
I completely agree with that, man. I completely agree with that. So kind of going on with this, uh, what would you say that that really looks like in showing love, and more precisely, like what do you think it means to actually live out your faith, to really like, because you know we all as Christians, we all say, you know, I have faith, I have a belief in God, that this and this is a definite. But what, to you, James Wilson, what does that mean to actually live out your faith?
To me,
Mm-hmm.
living out my faith, I'm learning is taking what James wants and like putting it to the side and always running back to what God wants. So if James wants to steal from Walmart because they make it that easy, I'm gonna put that to the side and I'm gonna do what God wants. I'm either gonna purchase it or I'm gonna leave. I mean, when it comes down to love, I just did something on my story. What was it, last week or a couple days ago? I just simply asked people, what, how do you love people in your life? And the responses were all just simple, but it was indeed ways to love. It's like check up on your friends. Like, you know, maybe you're the only person they'll talk to that day. Um, Buying somebody a meal, you know, even if they already ate, it'll be like you're still showing them that you care in some way. When you get to into the extremes and you actually have to get into loving your enemies, it's like first the greatest act of love in that sense is like forgiving them for whatever wrong they've done to you, because you can't love somebody if in your heart you're still like, you did this to me. You know, it's just, it doesn't fit. So you got to put that to the side, give it to God, let him handle that, and give him all of you, all of your stress and what happened. And you have to just, now I'm not saying you got to go up and hug the people like every day,
Yeah.
because some people think that's all love means. But love is literally like actions, you know, compliment them. I don't know, clean up for your parents, you know. If you're beefing with them, clean the dishes. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, he really washed the dishes." And they'll be like, "I think he loves me." No, I'm just kidding, but you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think people hear that term, like, you know, show love, or just love in general, and I feel like people either make it way more complicated than it needs to be, or way too simple, or like
Exactly.
they either grossly overestimate or underplay it. Uh yeah, yeah,
I agree.
yeah, man. So I love the fact that you mentioned, you know, one of the ways that people can practically show love is by, you know, complimenting people, like promoting self-love. You know, I think it says clearly in the Bible, you know, God created each and every one of us exactly the way he wanted to be, exactly the way he wanted us to be, and he did not make any mistakes. And
Yeah,
that I know that you, being the creative mind that you are, you have you've actually done something really cool in an effort to promote self-love. You know, you've started this clothing line called
yeah,
Ubel.
yeah.
So why don't you take a minute, tell the folks, you know, where that idea come from, what does the brand look like now? Yeah, yeah, just
All right, so I'm a photographer. I said that in the beginning. And one of the things about me, I like taking photographs of anything and specifically anybody. I love capturing different people just because of the differences in them. I love the way light bounces off people's skin. I love different skin tones and colors. I love different hair textures and colors. And so I would find myself randomly wanting to take pictures of people. And that's kind of invasive, I understand. And like I said, like I'm not gonna just shame you in front of everybody. Like if your hair is not done and you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. If you don't have a haircut, that's cool. Like if you're not dressed, if you're just in some sweatpants or whatever, and you're like, yo, ain't nobody was trying to take a photo today, you know? I'm not gonna force it on you. But the problem that I saw in people was the fact that even when they tried their best, they would feel uncomfortable in front of a camera, not just because it's a camera, but because they really didn't feel confident in what they look like.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was I kind of want to change that in people. And I want to give a shout out to Quentin Charles. I don't know if he's watching this, but he did my graduation photo shoot for free back in 2017. And I'm already a pretty confident dude, but when I saw the photos, I was like, yo, this is me. That's me. And I look good. So like I want to give that same reaction to other people. So for the people I was like, no, you look good, you're tripping, stop. I would take their picture, give them like a mini photo shoot or something, and I show them the finished product. They'd be like, yo, how'd you do that? And I'm like, all I did was hit a button. Uh yeah, that's you. And they'd be like, wow, I look good today. I'm like, you do. I don't know what you was tripping on. But this would happen so common. I'm like, man, how can I build confidence within these people? You know what I'm saying? And then it got to the point where I was doing so many of these mini photo shoots that it was like, what am I going to do with these pictures? So what I did was I think I want to sell graphic tees and I want to sell graphic hoodies. And I was like, I think I'm going to turn that into a brand and try to promote like self-love and appreciation through people. Because a lot of people are different, but it's those different things that make us unique, and it's that uniqueness that makes us beautiful. So for the first launch that I had, I'm actually wearing one. This is me on the hoodie. It was a picture I posted on Instagram like a while back. Follow me. And it's just a hoodie with like one of the pictures I took. And on the front, it says Ubel. Boop, boop. If you go on the link in my bio or my photography page, you see the other pieces. But the main one is just a colorful box that says Ubel, and inside it says, you are beautiful. I have joggers. On one side it says Ubel, on the other side it says, you are beautiful. Because people are beautiful, you know? And it's like if somebody can wear that and somebody can read it as a reminder, like just on somebody, just read it in their head. Just like, oh, look, joggers, you're beautiful. Oh, wow. You know, they might not register that, you know, they're saying it to themselves, but they'll still hear that phrase. And, you know, hopefully they can like find a video of me talking about it somewhere and like understand it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I kind of decided to use my photography and this brand for that. And I'm gonna see how far I can go with it.
Yeah. It's an awesome brand. It's an awesome venture. When you start doing that and you start posting about it, I was just blown away. I was like, this is awesome. This is simply awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So, James, you know, as we come to the end of this conversation tonight, you know, you're rock and rolling, man. I mean, and I mean that sincerely. So, my question is, last question of the night, if you were to give your life, the various chapters of your life, titles, what would you say is, what would you title this chapter of your life? And going forward, what do you think will come next? What do you think that next chapter is going to be called?
Man. Honestly, I'm not even gonna think about it too much. The first thing that came to my mind was the beginning, which is kind of ironic because it's like I'm 21. Uh, I'm far past the beginning already, but when I think about it, like it's just I'm starting a whole bunch of new stuff like this year. Like 2020 has been a terrible year,
Mm-hmm.
but it has honestly been a lot of new beginnings for me. Like, I mean, most people, it's like you go to school and you get a job, and it's like as soon as you graduate, well, that's the end. So what are you starting now? For some people, it's they just been working for the past couple of years, so it's like nothing new is going on. But spiritually, I'm becoming awake to how good my relationship with God could be. Uh, at home, like physically, I have three brothers and a
Mm.
stepbrother. All of them moved away. JoJo is in Georgia getting his master's. John is in Dallas, Texas, working on another degree for him. And my littlest brother, who was 18, Jeremiah, just up and left with John because it was like, why not?
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I got the house to myself. So it's like now I'm beginning a whole bunch of different relationships with people because it's like I can't just go home and jokes. And it was slowly dwindling down to me being the last one, but now I'm here. I'm starting a new passion and growing an old passion. During the quarantine, y'all saw all that food because like I was learning new recipes and I was putting it together in different ways. Like I feel like this is the first time I'm actually like expressing myself out to the world. It's like I'm not just going somewhere and coming home like a robot, just watching TV. Like I'm actually working on stuff, you know?
Yeah.
The next chapter would probably be like growth because I don't see this like stopping right here. I see it growing until it's something even more beautiful than what this is. And with the chapter after that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, look, James, dude, it's gonna be awesome to see where where God leads you in the next couple stages of your life. Dude, I think you're awesome.
Thank you, man.
Hey, well look, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you
Sorry.
for inviting me. I was honored. I was like, Doug want me to get on this little team with Doug.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I was
Uh
shocked.
yeah, man. Well, look, I really do appreciate it. Hope you had a great time.
I
Um
did.
Yeah, everyone watching and listening, check out James's stuff. I'll put his website either in the description of this video or I'll put it somewhere where you can find it. Keep up with him because he's doing some awesome stuff, y'all. Yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat. Always love to see folks being active in the chat. But yeah, James, once again, thank you so much. And for both of us, I'm Doug Gooden, he's James Wilson, and this has been the T.
Yeah.
Y'all have an awesome week. Bye.
All right, man.